Hi, my name is Everett. Today I'm reading Magic Treehouse, number 37, Rhinos at Recess. Number 1, New York Times bestselling series, Mary Pope Osborne. Recess in Africa. Jack and Annie are on the playground when the Magic Treehouse calls to them. Before they know it, they are whisked away to Africa. There's no time to play on this adventure. They must save an endangered mother rhino and her baby before it's too late. As the rhino's enemies charge closer in, Jack and Annie search for a miracle to help them. That follows may be the wildest moment in all their adventures. Journey to Africa, Savannas, and the heroic addition to the number 1 New York Times bestselling Magic Treehouse series. A Magic Treehouse book for every reader. See letter inside for info. So, if you're sitting comfortably, let's begin. Prologue. Once upon a day in Flower Creek, Pennsylvania, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. It was filled with books. A boy named Jack and his sister Annie found the treehouse and soon discovered that it was magic. They could go to any time and place in history just by pointing to a picture in one of the books. While they were gone, no time at all passed back in Flower Creek. Jack and Annie eventually found out that the treehouse belonged to Morgan Le Fay. Morgan is a magic librarian from the legendary realm of Camelot. They have traveled on many adventures in the Magic Treehouse and completed many missions for Morgan. On their most recent adventure, Jack and Annie send time to an extraordinary creatures around the world: a narwhal, a llama, a grizzly bear, and a snowy leopard. Now, Jack and Annie are about to set out to explore for one more wondrous world of nature. Chapter 1. Recess in Africa. A spring breeze blew across the schoolyard. The playground was bathed in the morning light. Kids were shouting, tossing balls, and running around races. Jack was playing volleyball. He saw Annie calling to him from the edge of the court. "I need your help, please," she shouted. "I'll be right back," he said to his teammates. They ran over to Annie. "What's up?" he said. "I left my folder for my science project at home," she said. "I have to get it for my report after recess. My teacher called Mom at work. Mom says I can go home and get it if you come with me. I have to be back in 15 minutes before recess ends." "Okay, no problem," said Jack. Their house was only a couple blocks. He turned to his friends. "I have to go get something at home. Be back soon." Jack and Annie ran down their playground and started up the sidewalk toward their house. "What's your report?" asked Jack. "What do you think?" said Annie. Jack smiled. "Some kind of animal," he said. "But what kind?" Annie was an expert at animals. "All kinds," said Annie. "I have to get my big folder of pictures." Heading down the street, Jack and Annie walked up by the church and the library. As they passed the Flower Creek woods, Annie grabbed his arm. "Stop, look," she said. She pointed to a small gray bird sitting on the branch. The bird had a bright red beak. Its yellow eyes were staring straight at them. "What's that?" said Jack. "A red-billed oxpecker," Annie said in a hushed voice. "I thought they only lived in Africa." The bird let out a cry. "He wants us to follow him," said Annie. "We can't. Not if you want to get your folder," said Jack. We just have enough time to get to our house and back to school before recess ends." The oxpecker cried out again. Then it spread its wings and lifted off the branch. It flew into the woods. "We have to follow him," said Annie. "We can't do both." "I told you," said Jack. "Make a choice. Your science report or the bird." The oxpecker called from the trees. "The bird," said Annie. She started running. "Oh man," said Jack. But he hurried after Annie. The little bird kept calling, leading them on through the Far Creek woods. "This has to mean something." The treehouse is out there, called Amy. Maybe we're going all the way to Africa. I guess we'll find out, said Jack. Remember our other 2 trips to Africa, said Annie, the gorilla in the mountain forest and the lions on the Tanzanian. Oh yeah, the lions, said Jack with a shiver. They had barely escaped the lions. Jack and Annie hurried through the woods until the oxpecker called to them from the tallest oak. They stopped and looked up at the top of the tree. Sunlight shone on the magic trails. I guess you made the right choice, he said. Yes, I did, said Amy. The oxpecker took off into the bright spring sky. Thank you, Annie called after it. Then she grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed. When they climbed inside the treehouse, Jack looked around and frowned. Morgan didn't send us a research book, he said. She just left us the Pennsylvania book to take us home. Yeah, but there's a note, said Annie. She picked up a piece of paper in a dark corner of the treehouse. She unfolded the paper and read aloud. Journey to a grassland with flowers and thorns, wild beasts, zebras, and creatures with horns. Use magic just once, save life old and new. To chase away danger, here's what to do. Find a paper tree with roots at the top. Point to the giant, say, please make them stop. Wow, I guess we're having recess in Africa today, said Amy. That's the only place where wild beasts and zebras live naturally, just like the oxpeckers and lions, said Jack. Amy nodded. Earlier, all wild lions live in Africa. Okay, Jack said with a sigh. He took a deep breath and looked at the rod. What's a paper tree, he said. Said Amy. Paper can be made from trees, so maybe it has something to do with that. No, it says with roots at the top, said Jack. Trees only have roots at the bottom, and what does this mean? Point to the giant. What giant? A big animal? Like a gorilla or an elephant? Said Annie. They're big, but I don't know if you would call them giants, Jack said. He looked around. Too bad we don't have a research book. Well, just have to figure it out, said Amy. Should we point to the grassland and make a wish? Go for it, said Jack. He handed Amy the rhyme. But listen, when we land, don't run off like you usually do. Wait till we decide a plan. Something we both agree on. Promise? Sure, said Amy. Let's go. She pointed to the word grasslands. I wish you could go there, she said. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 2. Hey, kids! Bright sunlight poured into the treehouse. Jack heard swishing sounds and bird songs. We're wearing our same clothes, said Amy. They were both dressed in t-shirts and jeans. Maybe we're still in the present time, said Jack. They looked out the window together. It's Africa, said Annie. The treehouse had stuck in an umbrella-like tree. Other trees and spiky-looking brush were scattered across the grassy plain. A warm wind rustled the high trees with a whooshing sound. Zebras, said Amy. In the distance were 2 zebras and wild beasts. Yep, we're definitely in Africa, said Jack. The sight of the horned wild beasts and black and white striped zebras looked his breath away. Then he glanced around for the lions. Look, said Amy. Jack jumped. Lions? He said. No, said Amy. Tourists. She pointed to a bus bumping along the dirt road that wound through the grasslands. Painted letters on the side on the bus said, Safari Ride. Passengers sat on several rows of seats in the open-air bus. Cool, said Jack. He was relieved. The tourists were safe here, he said, and Annie must be safe too. The bus came to a halt. Stopping for photos, the driver called. Some of the tourists jumped out of the photograph, the zebras and wild beasts. We're definitely still in our times today. They're all using cell phones to take pictures, right, said Jack. Come on, let's join them, said Annie. The safari ride, said Jack. Yes, said Annie. I've always wanted to go there, a safari, and see the animals. Don't be silly, said Jack. We can't just appear out of nowhere and hop on the bus. They'll wonder why and where we come from. Let's stick to our mission. He looked at the rhyme again. He repeated the second verse and the third verse. Use magic just once. Save life, old and new. To chase away the danger, here's what to do. Find a paper tree with roots at the top. Point to the giant, say, please make them stop. Okay, the good news is we can use magic in case of danger, said Annie. But how do we use it, said Jack? Well, if it says we have to find a paper tree with roots at the top, said Annie, then we point to the giant and stop. We still need to know what a paper tree is, said Jack. What does it have to do with a giant, said, and who are them? What do we want them to stop doing? I don't know, said Annie with heaving a sigh. Nothing makes sense, said Jack. Don't worry, said Annie. Let's just join the safari ride and have some fun, and we can ask the other people about paper trees. Seriously, we can't just go up to them, said Jack. The drivers will wonder why we're alone in the middle of nowhere. It'll turn into a big deal, and then we'll be in trouble. I think of something to say. I'll think of something to say, said Annie. Back on board, the driver called to his passengers. Hurry, the bus is about to leave, said Annie. She scrambled down the rope ladder. I just told you we can't just join them, called Jack, but Annie was already heading toward the bus. Oh, brother. Jack stuffed Morgan's note into his back pocket and hurried after Annie. As he stepped off into the tall grass, the safari ride had started moving. Wait! Hey, wait! Annie shouted. She started running after them. Annie, hold on! Jack called after her. Forget it. It's too late. We're too far. Annie stopped, gasping for breath. She and Jack watched the safari bus bump down the dirt road. Then soon it disappeared behind the thicket, trees, and bushes. Annie, I told you, we have to stick to our mission, said Jack. Annie looked down. I'm sorry, I got carried away, she said. We have to make a plan, said Jack. Something we both agree on. Okay, said Annie. Jack sighed and pushed his glasses into place. He looked around. So what now, he said. The zebras and wild beasts were still grazing in the distance. Loud chirps and clicking sounds came from the grass. Dragonflies darted among the purple wildflowers. Croaking sounds came from the meadow creek. A swarm of mosquitoes danced in the air. Hey, what's that thing? What? Said Jack. Look, that. Annie walked over to some weeds. She bent down and picked up a booklet. South African Game Reserve, she read aloud from the cover. Someone on the safari ride must have dropped this. Let me see, said Jack. He and he handed the booklet to Jack. Jack opened it to the first page and read, "A number of African game reserves like this one protected some of the largest animals on Earth, such as elephants, giraffes, and black rhinos." "Oh wow, we landed in the game reserve," said Annie. "They protected animals here. That's so great." "Yeah, it is," said Jack. He kept reading. "Reserves range guards that grasslands and take visitors on safari rides. Sometimes the rangers risk their lives to protect animals from deadly danger." "Deadly danger?" repeated Jack. "Like what, lions?" "Like what, lions?" "Maybe," said Annie. "Keep going." Before Jack could read it more, the rumbling of an engine came through from behind him. He and Annie quickly turned around. An old Jeep was bouncing up and down on the dirt road. The vehicle stopped near Jack and Annie. A young man and woman jumped out. They wore tan uniforms with name badges. "Hey kids," the man shouted. "What are you doing out here all by yourselves?" Chapter 3. Jumo and Shayna. Jack froze. He didn't know what to say, and he walked over to the couple. "Hi, we're Jack and Annie. We're visiting the game reserve. Do you work here?" "Yes," said the woman. She pointed to her name badge. It said, "Ranger Sheena." "I'm Sheeny, and this is Jimo. We're both in reserve rangers." "Wow," said Annie. "I'd love to be a reserve range. Maybe someday you will," said Shani. "Back to the question. What are you two doing out here by yourselves?" Juma asked sternly. Jack stammered. "That's," said Annie, pointing to a safari ride booklet in Jack's hand. "We were doing that, but they drove without us." "That wasn't the driver's fault," Jack said quickly. We were just too far when the bus took off. We didn't make it back in time." "They didn't miss you," said Sheena, and he shook her head. "Not even your parents." "We'll be honest, they weren't with us," said Annie. They're off doing some research. So I wanted to go on a safari ride. "You know, your story really doesn't make much sense," said Juma, squinting at them. "I know," Annie agreed, but she shrugged. "Whatever happened, this is not a safe place for children to wander around alone," said Sheeny. "The bus will come back this way soon. We'll wait here with you until you get back on." "Oh no," thought Jack. "The Rangers will soon find out that they had never been on the safari ride." "Good. So what are you guys up to?" said Annie, changing the subject. "We're research for Rose," said Sheena. "Oh," said Annie. "Is Rosie a kid or a grown-up?" "She's a black rhino," said Sheena. Jack and Annie laughed. "A rhino named Royce?" said Annie, grinning. "That's funny." "Yes, but it's not funny that no one sees her for a week," said Sheeny. "She was about to give birth." "A baby rhino?" said Annie. "Ah, I'd love to meet one." "I'm afraid you can't," said Jima. "A mother rhino can be dangerous." "Why are they meat eaters?" said Jack. "No, rhinos are plant eaters," said Annie. "They are," said Jeannie. "But they can be very protective. If a rhino thinks you might harm them, the baby, she probably will charge at you. She could ram you ram your head and crush you, said Jumo, or stab you with their horns. And rhinos can run fast. And rhinos can run faster than we do, Annie said matter-of-factly. Up to 30 miles an hour. Jumo smiled. You know a lot about rhinos, Annie, she said. Annie knows lots about animals, said Jack. I do, said Annie, but now I'm worried about Royce and her baby. We were too, said Sheena. Rose, one of her favorites, she was brought to the reserve in an orphan years ago. We've watched her grow up. We're eager to welcome her calf into our lives. Are you afraid another animal might hurt them, said Jack. Like a lion. No, we're more concerned about poachers, said Sheena. What kind of animals is a poacher? Annie asked. A human animal, Jomo said. Poachers, all kinds of rhinos for money. Kill all kinds of rhinos for money. They sell their horns for large amounts. Oh, that's terrible, said Annie. It is, said Sheeny. But our job is to save the rhinos. We just wish the rest of the world felt that same way. Suddenly, a tiny creature with a long tail sprang from the back of the Jeep. It bounced off the ground and landed in Jumo's arms. Ah, Speedy, you hitched a ride with us, said Jumo. Speedy had a tiny head with bat-like ears and huge round eyes. A bush baby? Cried Annie. Speedy's the mascot at our camp dining hall, said Sheena. During the day, he likes to hide in the back of our vehicles and nap. The bush baby had made funny squeaking sounds. Oh, that's so cute, cooed Annie. Can I hold him? Better not. He might nip you, said Jumo. I'm not afraid. Please, said Annie. She held out her arms. Okay, Speedy. Be good, said Jumo. He gently placed Speedy into Annie's hands. Annie cradled the baby, the tiny bushy baby. He was no bigger than a kitten. Hey, little guy, said Annie. Your fur's so soft and nice. Speedy swiveled his head around to look at her. He made a croaking sound. Annie laughed. He says he agrees, she said to Jack. Bush babies are tiny primates who live in Africa. Did you know that? Before Jack could say no, a crackling radio noise came from the Jeep. Code red! Code red! A man's voice shouted. Oh no, grab it, said Sheena. Jomo reached for the Jeep and grabbed the radio device. We're here! Go ahead, he shouted. Through the radio static, the man shouted back. Chopper, sighting, West Gate, red, code red, on our way! Jomo yelled into the radio receiver. He looked at Sheeny. We have to go, now! Chapter 4. Speedy, slow down! Got it, said Sheeny. The two rangers jumped back into the Jeep. Come on, Jack, said Annie. Hold Speedy. She started to climb into the Jeep. No, kids. You can't come with us, said Sheeny. Why not? Asked Annie. Too dangerous, said Jomo. We don't mind danger, said Annie. Jack hung back. Wait, what kind of danger? He asked. Poachers, said Sheeny. They might spot Rosie, if we have to race to the west side of the reserve before the chopper lands." "What's a chopper?" asked Danny. "A helicopter," said Jack. "Yes, sometimes poachers use helicopters and carry heavy weapons," said Jeannie. Jumbo started the Jeep engine. "The safari ride will be back soon," he said. "Please wait here for the bus. Don't wander the bush." "We'll see you back at the camp," said Jeannie. Then the Jeep lurched forward. "Wait, you forgot Speedy!" shouted Annie. The Rangers didn't hear her as the Jeep roared away. Speedy made sad chirping sounds. "I'm sorry, Speedy. They have to go save Rosie," said Annie to the tiny primate. Annie, she looked at Jack. "I really wanted to go with them. Didn't you?" "Oh no, it sounds super dangerous," said Jack. "Jeannie and Jomo were trained to handle these stations." "But I want to save Rosie too," said Annie. "I know you did," said Jack. "But let's just do one thing at a time." "You didn't want to join the ride before," said Annie. "I know, but it's different now," said Jack. "Get on board and meet them back at their camp," Annie sighed. "So we just stand here, wait?" "Yes, and we take Speedy," said Jack. "Okay, that's important too," said Annie. She hugged the tiny bush baby. Jack looked at the booklet again. He read aloud. "Never before has it been so important to keep large, rare animals alive on Earth. In a number of African nature reserves, rangers risk their lives to save endangered elephants and rhinos. I'd love to train to be a reserve ranger someday," said Annie. "Wouldn't you?" Maybe," said Jack. He looked around. He felt hot, sweaty, and itchy. He waved the booklet to shoo away the mosquitoes whining around his head. "You okay?" said Annie. "It's too buggy here near the creek," said Jack. "Let's walk away up the road toward the trees. The bus will come back soon that way." "Sure," said Annie. "And maybe we'll find what Morgan's means by a paper tree." "Maybe," said Jack. He and Annie started up the dusty dirt road. As they walked, Speedy perched on Annie's shoulder. Jack turned the page in the booklet. He read, For more than 30 million years, rhinos and their ancestors have survived the ages, earthquakes, floods, and they have survived the Ice Age. They survived the Ice Age, earthquakes, floods, and volcanoes." "Rhinos and their ancestors," said Annie. "What does that mean?" "All creatures have ancestors that go back through time," said Jack. "Like the great mothers, grandfathers, and parents. You know." "Oh yeah, our family history," said Annie. "Uncle Josh is making a cart of that. Look, here's a great ancestor character for rhinos," said Jack. He showed Annie the character in the booklet. On the top was an illustration of a prehistoric rhino. At the bottom was a present day rhino. Jack read, "Modern day rhinoceros are descended from the family of prehistoric rhinos, which include the Parasaurolotherium." "Woo, hard words," said Eddie. "Just look at this monster," said Jack. He pointed to the drawing at the top of the carrot. It showed a huge, long-necked creature. To illustrate the creature's size, there was a person drawn next to it. Jack read more. "This ancient rhino was the largest land mammal that ever lived. This creature weighed at least 5 times as much as a rhino of today. It was a plant eater that mainly ate leaves and grass." "Cool, a plant eater," said Annie. "Yep, but wouldn't want to step on me, said Jack. He kept reading. The armor of the rhino family has protected the animals for millions of years, but humans have not found ways to kill rhinos, and they are critically endangered. Some experts worry that black rhinos could disappear from Africa within 10 years. What? Only 10 years? Cried Annie. That's horrible. Rhinos have been around for over 30 million years, and now they might disappear from Africa in just 10 years? I hate that. Me too, said Jack. Suddenly, Speedy let out a shrill whistle. He leaped out of Annie's arms onto the ground. He frantically hopped around, jabbering. Speedy, what's wrong, said Annie. The tiny bush baby took flying, leaping steps up the road. What? He headed toward the bushes and umbrella-like trees. Wait, Speedy, Annie called. Speedy, slow down. We have to save her. She started running after the baby. Come on, Jack, she shouted. Jack stuck the booklet into his pocket. Then he raced after Annie and Speedy up the dirt road. Chapter 5. Don't move. Speedy stayed far ahead. As Jack and Annie, he dashed into the thicket. Speedy, where are you? Annie called. The bush baby croaked from inside the bushes. Come out from here, said Annie. She tried to push through the closely packed shrubs. Ow, ow, she cried, jumping back. She rubbed her arm. That really hurts. No wonder, said Jack. Look, jutting between the feathery leaves of the bushes were daggy like thorns. Each spike was 3 or 4 inches long. Yikes, Annie. We can't go in there, said Jack. We'll get stabbed to death. But what about Speedy, said Annie. I don't know, said Jack. Maybe he'll... Shh, listen, said Annie. Jack held his breath. Loud snuffling and snorting noises came from the thorn bushes. That doesn't sound like Speedy, said Annie. Jack shook his head. It's not Speedy, he said. So what is it? Whispered Annie. The snuffling and snorting noises grew louder. Annie carefully tried to pull back the thorns branches, but Jack grabbed her. Don't, he whispered. Something's hiding in there. Something's way bigger than a bush baby. Like what? Whispered Annie. I don't know, whispered Jack. Just back up. Slowly, one step at a time. But Speedy, started Annie. Now, whispered Jack. The two of them stepped carefully back. A growling sound came from the bushes. Jack's heart pounded as he looked around. They could run down the dirt path or across the grassy plain, but a hungry animal could chase them and catch them. His eyes rested on a tree near the bushes. Beneath the leafy top were bare trees. Let's climb that tree, he said. We can wait there till the safari ride comes back. What about Speedy, said Annie. We'll figure that out once we're safe, said Jack. The bushes started to shake. Jack heard twigs and branches snap. Go now, said Jack. He and Annie dashed to the tree. Hurry, said Jack. Annie grabbed the limb and pulled herself up. Jack followed, lifting himself into the branch near her. He tried to climb higher. His hands were stuck by thorns. Ouch! He cried. Are you okay? said Annie. Watch out, there are thorns up here too, said Jack. Near the top. Jack and Annie settled on the near branch just below the crown of the tree. Look, said Annie. A huge head emerged from the thicket. The head had upright ears and a long horn growling from the snout. Oh man, whispered Jack. A rhino, said Annie. The rhino grunted and lumbered out from the bushes. Its wide, bulky body was covered with prickly gray skin. A real rhino, said Annie. Rhinos are dangerous. Don't forget, said Jack. There's Speedy, said Annie. Shh, don't call out to him, Jack whispered. Remember, Jumo said a rhino can crush you and stab you. The rhino didn't move toward the on thick, heavy legs. It swung its head from side to side. Jack held his breath, afraid the animal might see them. "Don't move," he whispered. "Rhinos can't see well," Annie said softly. They really on hearing and smelling." "Then don't talk," whispered Jack. "But do you think Speedy's safe?" whispered Annie. "Shh, quiet," said Jack. The rhino turned its gaze in their direction. It twitched its ears as if trying to hear them. It snorted as if trying to smell them. "Can a rhino knock down a tree?" wondered Jack. Is a rhino the danger in Morgan's rhyme? Jack quietly pulled out Morgan's note from his back pocket. He read to himself. "Use magic once. Safe life, old and new. To chase away danger, here's what to do. Find a paper tree with roots at the top. Point to the giant. Say, please make them stop." The words still made no sense. The tree they had climbed was definitely not a paper tree, and who were the giant and them? He put the rhyme back into his pocket. The rhino turned his head and sniffed the air. "Listen, I hear Speedy," whispered Annie. Jack heard shrieking coming from the brush. Suddenly a thorn bush parted and out came Speedy. He was riding on the back of a baby rhino. Chapter 6. Code Red. "Speedy," Annie whispered loudly. Speedy looked up at the tree where Jack and Annie were hiding. He jumped off the rhino calf and leaped to the tree. He scuttled up to them. "You're safe," Annie whispered, hugging the bush baby. Speedy jabbered excitedly. "I know a baby rhino. It's so sweet," Annie whispered to him. "Not so loud," whispered Jack. "The big rhino must be Rosie, and that little one is her calf." "I know," said Annie. The baby rhino was only about 2 feet tall. She hadn't grown a horn yet, but she looked just like her mother. She had wrinkled, dark gray skin, a large head, and an upright ears. "She's a miniature," said Rosie. "And Rosette," said Annie. "A what?" said Jack. "Rosette. It means little Rosie in Spanish," said Annie. "Shh, Rosie's coming back," whispered Jack. "Remember, a mother rhino can be dangerous." The mother rhino walked over to her calf and nuzzled her. Then she lay down on the grass on her side. "Oh, yeah, she's so dangerous," said Annie, grinning. "Seriously," said Jack, "we have to stay in the tree." While Rosie rested, her calf climbed onto her back. The baby pawed her mother as if trying to get her to play. Annie giggled softly, and Jack couldn't help grinning. A baby rhino might be the cutest animal in the world, he thought. Rosie finally grunted and heaved herself up. She ate some grass and she began to move around the trees. The calf followed on her stumpy little legs. The 2 rhinos rounded the cluster of bushes. Jack and Annie couldn't see them anymore. "Now they had climbed down," said Annie, "so we can track them and tell the rangers where they are." "Okay," said Jack, "but we have to stay far away from them. Remember, rhinos can move fast. Don't let them see you. And Speedy," he spoke sternly to the baby, "don't talk." Speedy swiveled her head and looked at Annie. "Just whisper," she whispered. "Come on." Speedy hopped down from Annie's back. He put his little arms around her neck. Annie carefully climbed down the tree. Jack followed. They crept over the grass and rounded the thorny thicket. They stood at a distance and watched the two rhinos. Rosie and her calf had ambled down to the creek. They both sank into the muddy water. Jack and Annie watched the rhinos wallow in the mud, while wildebeests grazed in the distance. Zebras roamed in the tall grass. Overhead, birds in long, slender wings swooped through the blue sky. It was a perfect sense, Jack thought. Beautiful and peaceful. All the creatures were doing that what they were born to do. Look at that, said Annie. She pointed at the sky. It was a bird. Jack squinted at the sunlight. He saw something in the distance, flying toward them. Speedy started jabbering wildly. It's not a bird, said Jack. A small plane, said Annie. As the thing in the sky drew closer, they could hear whapping and chopping sounds. Jack felt sick. It's not a plane, he said. What then, said Annie. A helicopter, said Jack. A chopper. Oh no, poachers, cried Annie. Code red. Yes, said Jack. This must be the chopper that Gemmo and Sheeny were after. Speedy whistled and shrieked. Rosie, we have to save her, said Annie. I know, said Jack. How, said Annie. Get her to a hiding place, said Jack. In the thorn bushes, said Annie. Better if we get her under that tree we were in, said Jack. The leaves might keep her from being seen from the sky. How do we do that? Cried Annie. I don't know, said Jack. Wait, said Annie. What if we yell at Rosie's baby? We make Rosie mad at us. She chases us. We run. Her baby follows. We can't outrun a rhino, said Jack. You said they can run 30 miles per hour. We'll get a head start, said Annie, and we'll lead Rosie and her babies back out to our tree. Let's do it. The terrible chopper noise was growing louder. Jack, it's the only plan we've got, said Annie. Jack looked around from the tree to the helicopter to the rhino. Right, okay, he said. Let's go. Chapter 7. Move, baby, move! Clutching Speedy, Annie ran down toward the muddy creek. Jack ran with her. Rosie, Rosetti! Annie yelled. Get out of the water! Come on, you two, Jack shouted. Speedy shrieked and whistled. The baby rhino seemed to smile at them. The mother lifted her huge head out of the water. She stared darkly at Jack and Annie. The helicopter was getting closer. Hurry, Rosie! Come on, Annie yelled. Try to catch us! Rosie heaved herself up to a standing position in the creek. Muddy water poured off her thick body. Get ready to run, Jack said to Annie. Wait, what about the baby, said Annie. The calf was still wallowing in the mud. Rosetti, get out! Run after us, called Annie. Move, baby, move, shouted Jack. He clapped his hands at the calf. Suddenly, the baby bounced out from the creek. Annie rushed to the small, muddy rhino. Good for you, she said. Annie, watch for the Rosette, said Jack. Quicker than he had expected, Rosette had moved out of the water onto the grass. She started slowly toward Annie. She pawed the ground and made a growling sound. Whoa, go, go, Jack called to Annie. Jack and Annie took off running as fast as they could. They raced toward the trees and thorny bushes. Then Jack looked over his shoulder. He saw Rosette galloping after them, her legs bouncing across the grass. The calf's stumpy legs moved fast, too. The chopping sounds of the helicopter grew louder. Climb back onto the tree, Jack shouted as Annie. They ran onto the umbrella-like tree. Annie let go of Speedy and they pushed. The baby leaped into the branches. Jack and Annie climbed after him. The three of them sat on the branch as they were hidden by the thick cover of the overhead leaves. The mother rhino followed them up the tree. She stood below them and huffed and snorted. She was really mad, thought Jack, but at least she was hidden under the leaf canopy. Stay there, Rosie, Annie cried. She turned to the Jack. Where's her baby? Over there, said Jack. The calf hadn't followed Rosie all that way to go to the tree. She was romping in the grass. Oh no, Rosetti, Annie shouted. Oh no, Rosetti, Annie shouted. Come over here. Annie's voice could hardly be heard above the roar of the chopper. What should we do? Annie cried. I don't know, said Jack. Maybe the safari bus will come back soon, or Jummo and Sheeny, said Annie. She sounded like she might cry. The helicopter could be seen clearly now. Its spinning blades were whirling, chopping sounds. The poachers will see the baby, said Annie. As the helicopter circled in the area, the rhino calf kept playing. She could easily be spotted in the open. I have to get her, said Annie. No, you can't, said Jack. The poachers will see her. I have to help, said Annie. She was in tears. Don't climb down, Annie, please, said Jack. Rosie, you won't understand. She'll attack you. The helicopter hovered above the dirt road. The spinning blades made a deafening sound. Slowly, the machine started to descend. They're coming down, cried Annie. As the chopper drew closer to the ground, its blades stirred up in a cloud of dust. They're landing, said Annie. I have to go get down and protect Rosie and her baby. They're in terrible danger. Wait, Annie. That's it, Morgan's rhyme, said Jack. He pulled out the rhyme out of his pocket. He shouted Morgan's words above the roar of the chopper. To chase away the danger, here's what to do. Find a paper tree with roots at the top. Point to the giant, say, please make them stop. We need a paper tree, cried Jack. Paper tree, he repeated, looking around in a panic. The helicopter landed. The blades were slowing down. We're out of time, said Annie. Hold on, said Jack. He pulled the safari booklet out of his pocket. Then his hands shook as he turned the pages. He found the character of a rhino ancestor. He stared at the giant creature at the top of the chart and its descendants. Below, Jack! What are you doing? Said Annie. They're here. That's it, said Jack. The rhino family tree. What, said Annie? A tree made of paper, said Jack, with roots at the top. It's a real tree. It's the character of the rhino ancestors, the rhino family tree. Oh, wow, said Annie. Roots can mean ancestors, said Jack. He pointed to the top of the rhino family tree. And there's the giant. He glanced. 2 men in dark masks were climbing out of the helicopter. Jack held up the illustration of the rhino family tree. Now, he said. Together, Jack and Annie showed the drawing of the giant prehistoric creature at the top of the page. Please make them stop. And then, suddenly, a magnificent thing started to happen. Chapter 8. The great ancestor. A blinding light flashed over the grasslands. The wind blew. Birds cried out. Trees and bushes trembled. Speedy swiveled his head and looked around. He let out a shriek. Jack and Annie turned to look behind them. A tall creature was raising up from the blowing tall yellow grass. It had massive head. His head with upright ears had a thick neck as long as giraffes. Slowly the creature rose to his full height. He stood as tall as a two-story building. His body of the ancient creature was covered with hairless gray skin that looked like armor. His forelegs were as thick as huge tree trunks. Rosie and her baby froze in place. The masked approachers stopped too. Jack and Annie gasped. The Rhinos' great ancestors, said Annie, from 30 million years ago. Oh man, Jack whispered. This isn't real. It's totally real, said Annie, and it's magic. The prehistoric rhino stared, then moving toward them. Its huge feet crushed tall grass. As the creature came close, his head swayed from left to right. He looked at the two smaller rhinos and the helicopter parked at the ground. Then he stopped and glared down at the two masked men. The giant let out a bellow, deep sounding. A strange bellowing that seemed to come from a world before a time of humans. The creature's voice grew louder and louder until it boomed, roar, shattered the air. The prehistoric giant started moving toward the poachers faster and faster. His thundering footfalls shook the ground. The poachers howled in terror. They dashed to their chopper. They scrambled back into the cockpit. The Rater blade started to spin. The helicopter lifted off the ground, rocking from side to side. A whirlwind of dust blew up from the dirt. The chopper rose shakily through the dust and almost tipped over. The ancient rhino looked up at and bellowed again. The fleeing helicopter rose higher. It turned and sputtered away across the grass. The chopper was gone. The grassland seemed stunned into a watchful silence. The birds and frogs were quiet. Rose and her calf didn't move. Jack and Annie were speechless. Speedy broke the stillness. He slipped out of Annie's arms, jabbering excitedly. He jumped down onto the baby rhino's back. From there, he leaped onto Rosie's head. From there, he scrambled onto the back of the ancient rhino. Speedy hugged the giant's neck. He made happy noises as if welcoming the ancient creature to his world. The huge rhino lowered his head and looked around again. Then he started moving toward Rosie and her baby. Jack held his breath, afraid for their safety, but as the giant stepped closer to them, Rosie and Rosetti walked toward him as if they were thanking him. The giant rhino leaned over. He nuzzled Rosie's head with his own. Then the three of them stood calmly together. Let's go now. It's safe now, said Annie. Jack nodded. He felt the same. The peace among the rhinos seemed to extend anywhere. Jack and Annie climbed down from the tree. They slowly approached the rhino family. Annie stroked the baby's head. Then she rested her hand on Rosette. Hi there. This is your great ancestor, she said softly. He saved you. Jack reached out and touched the leathery skin of the ancient ancestor. The giant gazed at Jack and Annie with soft, dark eyes. He dipped his huge head, curved down, and touched their heads. Then the creature stood up straight, looming over them all. Thanks for saving them, said Annie, looking at him. Yes, thank you, Jack murmured. Thank you for helping us. The giant seemed to nod. Then he turned and began walking away. Speedy climbed down from the creature's back and looked into Annie's arms. Jack, Annie, Rosette, and her calf stood together. They watched the prehistoric rhino stood for a moment. He nibbled leaves from the top of the tallest umbrella-like tree. Then he kept plodding across the yellow plain. They watched the creature move through the tall swaying grass until he vanished into the bright African sunshine. "Goodbye," Annie said softly. Jack didn't speak. He was still in shock. Suddenly the sound of the engine came from behind them. Jack and Annie saw the Rangers' jeep rumbling down the road. "Shaney and Jomo!" cried Annie. "They're back!" The jeep came to a halt. The two Rangers leaped out. "Get away from the Rhinos, kids!" Jomo shouted. "They're in great danger." No, we're not," said Jack, finding his voice. "Actually, they're fine. We're all totally fine." Chapter 9, Message Receiver. "Look, we found Rosie and your baby," Annie shouted. She patted Rosie's thick gray hide. The Rangers walked slowly and carefully toward Jack, Annie, and the two Rhinos. "I named her baby Rosetti," said Annie. "Oh, wonderful. She looks to be about a week old," said Shaney. "Where did you find them?" asked Jomo. "They found us," said Jack. "They came out of the bushes." He pointed to the thicket. "And Rosie didn't bother you," said Jomo. No, not at all," said Annie. We watched them take a mud bath. Then they followed us back here, and then, well, we all became good friends." "What happened to you?" Jack asked the Rangers. "We went on a wild goose chase," said Shamey, "to sightings of the chopper near the west gate, but we heard it was spotted over this area. Did you see it?" "Yes," said Annie simply. "You did?" said Cheney. "What happened?" "It landed," said Jack, "right here." "What? It landed here?" said Jumo. "Yes," said Jack. "Oh my gosh, what happened?" said Cheney. "Did the poachers see Rosie?" "Yep, but we convinced them to leave her alone, and her baby too," said Annie. How in the world did you do that?" said Cheney. Well, we just shared some information with them," said Jack. He held up the booklet. We taught them that the Rhino family has been on Earth for at least 30 million years, said Annie. "So basically, rhinos have such a right to be there as we do. Be here as we do." Jomo and Shimi looked confused. "Then the poachers listened to you?" said Jomo. Jack shrugged. "Somehow they seemed to get the message," he said. "Yep, message received," said Annie. "Now we just hope they'll tell the poachers that what they learned today." "We can't believe that," Jomo said, shaking his head. "It sounds like a miracle," said Sheeny. "It was sort of," said Jack. He looked. "Where's the bus?" said Juno, "There's your bus," said Juno, pointing down the road. The safari ride was bumping along the trail in the distance. "Great. They've probably been very worried about you," said Cheney. "Do you mind if we leave you here?" said Jumo. "We have to get a transport crew to haul Rosie and her calf back to the camp." "Oh no, we don't mind," said Jack. He was relieved. Now the two rangers wouldn't find out that they'd never been on the bus. "The other rangers will be overjoyed to see her," said Shaney. "And her baby." "Great," said Annie. "And don't forget to take Speedy with you." "Oh, we won't," said Shimi. We're sorry we left him behind. Thanks for taking good care of him." Annie gave the bush baby one last hug. She whispered in her ear. Speedy jabbered softly to her. Annie whispered again. Speedy jabbered again. "Sorry, guys. We should hurry," said Jumo. "Oh, sure. Bye, Speedy," said Annie. She gave the bushy baby to Sheeny. Thanks for whatever you said to the poacher, said Sheeny. I could hardly believe that they just left, Jumo said. We hardly believe it ourselves, said Jack. Well, thank you, said Sheeny. And Sheeny walked back to the Jeep and climbed inside. The Jeep started up. It wheeled around and bounced away over the dirt road. Jack looked over his shoulder. The bus is getting close, he said to Annie. He put the booklet into his pocket. We have to go home. Bye, Rosette, said Annie. She put her arm around the baby rhino and gave her a hug. Be a good girl. The baby looked as if she were smiling at Annie. Bye, Mama, Annie said to Rosie. Your baby is beautiful. Congratulations. Wait right here for the transporter team. They'll take you to your friends at the camp. Bye, Rosie. Bye, Rosette, said Jack. Then he surprised himself. He leaned over and kissed Rosie on the side of her leathery gray head. I hope you live a long, happy life, he murmured. The rhino grunted, but in a warm, friendly way. Jack felt tears come to his eyes. Okay, let's go, he said, cleaning his throat. We have to hurry. Jack and Annie turned away from the rhinos and started running in the opposite direction of the bus. They ran down the dirt road. They dashed through the tall yellow grass. They ran to the rope ladder. Andy climbed up. Jack followed. Inside the treehouse, they looked out of the window. The safari ride had stopped not far from Rosie and her baby. From the open air, tourists were taking pictures of the two rhinos. Jack heard cries of wonders, oohs and ahs. That's how it should be, said Annie. All humans should love rhinos and tell their friends to love rhinos too. Yep, said Jack. I hope they keep happening for a long time, like 30 million years more, said Annie. At least, said Jack. Ready? He picked up the Pennsylvania book and pointed to the picture of Frog Creek. I wish I could go there, he said. The wind started above. The trail started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Chapter 10. A better idea. Morning sunlight warmed the woods. Birdsong filled the air. No time at all had passed in Frog Creek. We have just enough time to get back to recess, said Jack. Good idea, said Annie. They climbed down the rope ladder and started through the woods. That was an amazing adventure, said Annie. Yeah, it really was, said Jack. He stopped. But wait, did it really happen? I mean, that prehistoric rhino? What? You're asking that now, said Annie. After a million trips in the magic trails, Jack laughed. He kept walking ahead, but it was so incredible, he said. It was real, said Annie. We had witnesses. Rosetta, Speedy, and the poachers. Oh, yes, said Jack. Sure, he shook his head. Great witness. Seriously, said Annie. Hey, I have a question, said Jack. Before you gave Speedy to the Rangers, what did you say to her? I said, good, be good, and don't tell anyone our secret, said Annie. Oh, yeah, said Jack, smiling. And what did Speedy answer? Well, you know, Speedy, said Annie. He said, forget it. Of course, I'm going to tell the others, bush babies, and the zebras, wild beasts, lions, elephants, frogs, mosquitoes, and... Okay, said Jack. He smiled. And all things in the grassland, said Amy. And I said, yes, tell them all. And he said, they'll love the story. And furthermore... Okay, said Jack, laughing. Enough. Jack and Annie came out of the Frog Creek woods and started down the street toward their school. Hold on, said Annie. Are you sure you don't have time to run home and get the folder for my project? I'm sure, said Jack. There's no way we can get back to school in time to the end of recess. Darn, said Annie. Remember, you made your choice, said Jack. Right, I did, said Annie. They passed the library and church. So what will you tell your teacher about your science project, said Jack. Annie frowned. I'll just say I couldn't find my folder of pictures. I have a better idea, said Jack. What? Said Annie. He fell in his pocket. The booklet from the safari ride was still here. He pulled it up. Show this to your class, he said. Tell them about rhinos and tell them about prehistoric rhinos. Tell them about present day rhinos might disappear from Earth. Tell them the brave rangers like Sheeny and Jumo are trying to save them. Tell them the sad things and then good things. That's your science project. Wow, Annie breathed. She took the booklet from Jack. I really do have to say something. You have something huge to say, said Jack. I hope everyone listens, said Annie. They will if you tell it the right way, said Jack. By now, they were at the edge of the playground. The kids were still shouting and tossing the ball around. Thanks, Jack, said Annie. Good luck, said Jack. The bell rang. Recess was over. Bye. I hope you had a fun time reading. Join me for another Magic Treehouse book, or I could read another Who Would Win. You'll find out.